Wichita words and culture, and it's not what you might think. Go ahead and please like, comment, subscribe, share. If you're liking this channel and this content, really helps the channel grow and more people get exposure to Wichita that are looking to possibly move here and get an idea of what it's like. And hopefully maybe in there's some business that we can do together with each other. Get a lot of phone calls from these, a lot of messages, and I love talking about Wichita and houses and all those things that come with it all. So what I'm going to talk about today is some Wichita words that we have around here that if you're not from here, you may not know about, or even if you are from here, it'll give you a good chuckle and a good laugh on a few things. Because really the whole idea of these videos is not just to get to know houses around Wichita, but also know the cultures, the community, the lifestyle, people, all the things that make Wichita cool and unique and different than where different people are from. So one of the first ones I'm going to go over is Delano, is the way we say it. You know, most everywhere else in the rest of the world says Delano. And Delano is this little area right around the river where honestly all the cowboys and Indians, not Indians, all the cowboys and all the rough like crowd hung out. It's kind of was known as more of like the rougher, tougher part of town, where if you went across the river and you went to Delano, however you want to say it, that's kind of where a lot more of the like cussing and gunfighting and drinking and schmoozing and boozing and all the bad stuff went on, if you will. So that's what it's kind of always historically been known for around there. But the name of it has been the Delano district. That's seen some revitalization recently with the ballpark going in over there and some different private development going in over there. But it's got kind of like I'd call it a speakeasy feel to the Delano area, just as far as the old brick structures going down Douglas in Delano Square in the circle and the roundabout right there. And a lot of the houses are fairly older. You see some historic houses, but they're not quite as upkept as like Riverside, College Hill, and some of those areas. But Delano is kind of an up and coming district with the ballpark and the development, everything that's proposed to go on around there along the river and along Douglas and in kind of the whole area. That you get a decent amount of like craftsman bungalow style houses that maybe are a little bit more run down, but you're seeing more people fix them up. And it's a really nice neighborhood as far as like smaller size of houses. They're really not huge houses, but they're good starter homes. You get kind of that chic, unique, urban type of a feel through there. And there's some cool houses you can buy and fix up and kind of have a lot of those cool little quirks and uniqueness to them. But you're not necessarily going to have the square footage like you do in other like suburbs on everything. But that's Delano/Delano, however you want to say it. And that's right along the river, which goes to our next word, which is OurKansas. Apparently around here, we say OurKansas, the OurKansas River, instead of Arkansas, like everywhere else says, the Arkansas. So it's the major river that runs through our city, which is the OurKansas River. And it sounds weird saying it, but it's a Wichita thing that goes with all that. And it's a major river. It's pretty good size. You can float it. You can kayak it. You can do all those things. I will be honest with it, it's kind of a muddy river. And I don't want to say dirty because it's not really that dirty. It's muddy, which is different than like a polluted, congested type of a river. But it's definitely not like a super clear river like you see in Missouri or Arkansas. It's more of a sand bank, mud bank type of a river. And you have a lot of farm ground to the north of it where all that water runs through. It can be a little bit of a muddier river, which you could say dirty, but that doesn't entirely paint the right picture for it all. It is safe to swim in. It is safe to tube in, kayak in, all those things. The Keeper of the Plains, which is right north of downtown a little bit, is a really cool feature that comes at the two major forks of the river. And it's one of our Wichita monuments that I'm going to do a whole nother video on the Keeper of the Plains and the lighting of it all. It's got a walking bridge on it too, and it's a pretty cool river actually when you look at everything that goes with it all. There's a lot of cool things to do around it, but we call it the OurKansas. We don't call it Arkansas River, but it is a pretty good sized river. We got cool things going on with it. You can do things on it, but it is kind of muddy on everything. So the next one we have is Greenwich Road. We don't say Greenwich, even though that's how most everywhere else in the world pronounces it. Apparently, we are super phonic when it comes to our pronunciation of words. Delano, OurKansas, Greenwich. Like, well, that's how you spell it. Why wouldn't you say it that way? And so apparently that's how we like to pronounce our words, is very sharp, very brash. So we say Greenwich instead of Greenwich, like most everyone else does around the world. That's just a major road out on the east side of town, runs north and south. Good amount of development on it. It's where our Top Golf is at. We do have a Top Golf. We have a Dave and Buster's. It's also off of Greenwich Road. Let's see what else is off of Greenwich Road. Chicken and Pickle, one of my favorite places to play pickleball, is over off of Greenwich Road. It's definitely on the east side of town, which is a lot more of a developed city, major metropolitan type of a feel over there, which is a whole nother thing. If you look at east side, west side for Wichita, Kansas, east side of town is a lot more big city feel, and there's a whole culture that comes with this. West side of town is a small town feel, and there's a whole culture that goes with that. And there's totally this huge east side, west side like battle going on between the cultures in the city and how much it is. Because it's like West Siders, if they got to go east, they're like, oh, I got to go all the way to the east side, even though it's like a 20-minute drive. And same thing, vice versa. East Siders actually have a nickname for the West Side called Squinters. It's because when you drive from the West Side to the East Side in the morning, you have to look into the sun and you're squinting as you're driving to work, like looking at it as you're driving that way, which is funny because the same thing applies at sunset. If you're driving from the East Side to the West Side and the sun is setting, you're still gonna have to squint into the sun. So whatever. It's a funny cultural thing that has to do with East and West Wichita. And that's a whole nother video I've made too, if you want to check that one out. The next one I have is Cool Whip. Not really, that's just a joke. If you watch Family Guy at all, just a funny one. We do say pop a lot around here though. It's instead of soda. It's funny how many people you talk to, whether you call it pop or you call it soda or you call it a Coke, depending if you're from the South, depending on where you're moving from. But a lot of us say pop around here instead of soda. These are some of the Midwestern ones. We actually have murals around this one. Oh, is a big word we say. Oh, well, like, and we slap the knees and you go, well, suppose I better head on out. And then you get going on everything. That's totally a Midwest thing we do in Kansas because we're just that slow, down to earth, like Midwest, salt of the earth type of people, blue collar, hardworking, manufacturing, middle class type of a big city of a lot of us like that. And that's baked into our culture of saying ope and whelp and let me squeeze right past you. Let me grab the ranch there. Same with like, yeah, no, yeah, like I need to go find the meme on, if there's a good Instagram account for you to follow, it's Midwest versus Everybody. And it is hilarious how much we act and behave a lot like the Midwest culture. And apparently Kansas is on the south side of the Midwest culture, and it's funny to see that demographic map of where people consider the Midwest on everything. And apparently we're on the south side of the Midwest. So we're South Midwest, which is not confusing at all or anything. So OPE is a big one. We have a mural around OPE. WELP is another one. Slap your knee and slowly get up and be passive aggressive about things. We kind of have a passive aggressive culture around here, which actually does tie into our one of our city's nickname, which I just made a video on this on Wichita's names, which is Doodah. So one of our names that people call Wichita is Doodah, and that has to refer to like the lackadaisical, whimsical attitude of a lot of people that live around here. Our culture around here is we have kind of a slower paced, carefree lifestyle. And this is the honest truth about Wichita. There's not a lot going on here. That can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on which way you look at it. We have a river, but we don't really have major lakes. We have Cheney and El Dorado, but they're nothing compared to like some of the other major lakes around the nation. We're the biggest city in Kansas. We have a metro population size of about 600,000, and we got a big city population size, but kind of a small town feel. And we don't have any major sports teams, so we work a lot. We work out a lot. We drink a lot. I don't want to say we fight a lot because I don't think that's really true. I think most everyone around here is pretty agreeable. It's just kind of one of those places where it's like family's a big deal. It's very family oriented. But you do tend to get kind of bored around here. So you kind of stir up some drama because you got nothing else to do with gossip and that small town feel of who's doing what. And I swear to God, Wichita people know everyone around here, especially if you're a marketer trying to make a name for yourself or own a business. Not that hard to get known in this big little town that we have. It goes with it all. But that kind of has to do with our whole culture of OPE and WELP and all that. And the last one I'm gonna get into, which is Kansas goodbyes. And it's kind of funny how much this is true when you start to look at it and assess. Like I said, if you're from here or not, these are kind of funny realizations of people and behavior that go with all this. But a Kansas goodbye, I don't know if this is just a Kansas thing, but I called it that because of how many times I've noticed this, where it's like you start saying, okay, I gotta go, and you're saying your goodbyes in the kitchen, and then you say your goodbyes in the living room, and then you say your goodbyes at the front door, and then you say it on the front doorstep, and then you say it in the driveway, and then you say it in the truck or the car or whatever it is that you're leaving from. And it's this whole like 30-minute to an hour process ordeal to say goodbye to someone, because you don't want to leave and they don't want to leave, and you just keep talking, the conversation keeps going, and we're just having such a great time, and we brought up this other thing we're talking about. And by no means am I knocking this, it's just funny how this comes out, because I do it, and I do it to other people, and it is a great wholesome thing about Kansas and Wichita, of just being in those Midwestern culture of states where we slow down and we connect with people and we talk to them and we conversate and we have a good time and we have human connection. This is one of the good things about Wichita that you may not see as a problem, but it could be a problem, is that you're going to have time and you're going to have space and you're going to have to talk to people and connect with them and get to know them. And sometimes that can create conflict, but also sometimes that can create connection on everything, because you're not so busy here as you are elsewhere, and people aren't in a super big hurry to do anything, and they kind of smell the roses and drive slow under the speed limit, believe it or not. And that can be a good thing or it could be a bad thing, because sometimes people are so busy running around everything, they're not actually addressing and stopping and having conversations, connecting with each other. So in some ways that's good. In other ways it could be bad, because it create conflict between people. But that's one of the best things about Wichita, I think, is that we do have time around here, which you can't always necessarily say that about other markets, other cities that are so big, so large, so crowded. Everybody's hustling and bustling, always trying to make a buck so fast, that it's like Wichita really gets you to slow down and focus on what's really important in life. And that's why a lot of people usually live here or stay here or come back here, is family connections, people that they know and love that are here. And that's one of the things I think Wichita does a really good job of, which is being family oriented and human connection oriented. That we are pretty considerate of everyone else. Maybe a little bit too far on a people pleasing side, but that's a whole nother conversation for another time. But I think Wichita really has a good way of being unique and not entirely known, which does make it kind of cooler and more unique on everything. But we do have some funny things about our culture and our lifestyle, and everything goes with it. But hopefully this helps you get to know Wichita a little bit more, the culture that's with it, that goes behind the houses and the communities and everything else. You want to personally talk about real estate, I love taking these calls and discussing it with people. Go ahead and sign up on my website down below, shoot me a message, or check out some of my other videos, and we can go from there. But I appreciate you watching as always. We'll talk with you soon. See ya.